to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman. Hello and welcome listeners to episode 14 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Leslie.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. In today's episode, Leslie and I will be talking about 10 top tips to start this New Year's decluttering with a bang.
Ooh.
I know. Happy New Year, Leslie.
Happy New Year.
We want to wish all our listeners a very happy New Year. And to start you off right, Leslie and I have created 10 top tips to help you on your decluttering journey.
We are going to go through how to declutter a room with everything that you need to know. Obviously, in other podcasts, we're going to delve a little deeper, but this is a summary of certain things that you can get started now if you want to start on your decluttering journey and your New Year's resolution.
I love it.
Yes.
So what? I love it. So let's get started. What's your number one? Come on, bring it to me.
My number one is have a plan of attack. This is all very positive, isn't it? So you've got to have a plan. So every project needs a plan. So the plan for this is, where am I going to declutter? Is it going to be a room, a drawer, a wardrobe, a garage, a loft? So have a plan. We're not going to, the plan is not going to be, I want to declutter my house this weekend. It's going to be, I'm going to tackle, break it down into realistic chunks, have a plan, and then don't deviate from that. So once you've decided, I want to do my bedroom or my wardrobe or my chest of drawers or my makeup or whatever that might be, don't deviate from that until that job is done.
Yeah, I know, because what happens is that you find something that should be in another room and you might think, oh, I'm just going to quickly put that away in that other room. And then you get sidetracked by completely something different that catches your eye. And then you completely forgotten what you were doing in the first place. So it's better to get an empty bag or an empty box and write on it, this is for the other room. And it doesn't matter what other room it is. And then you put the stuff in, and at the end of your decluttering, if it's that half an hour, if it's 2 hours, if it's 10 minutes, then you walk around and bring stuff back to where it belongs.
Absolutely. Really important point that, because that's where a lot of people get waylaid and kind of get distracted and fail in the decluttering journey, and it's about keeping focus.
Yeah.
So we have decided what we're going to declutter, and we are going to think about how we're going to do that. And so it's very psychological, isn't it? So we've got to think. There's 3 very basic questions when decluttering, which are, do I use it? And that means, am I using it regularly? Is it something that, basic. Do I use it? Yeah. Like a kettle or like a item of makeup or a lipstick or whatever. Do I need it? So there's some things that you don't use all the time, but you need them. So that maybe the things that would fall into this category would be Christmas decorations or things like that, or camping equipment that you're only using seasonally.
Cleaning. You might not want it or use it, but you do need it.
Yeah, fair enough. And finally, then we've got the sort of sentimental items that fall into the kind of love category. So I don't use it or need it particularly, but I do love it and I'm keeping it for sentimental reasons.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that fall into that category as well. So if you ask those 3 questions, you're not far off the mark, really. Obviously, some things are more complicated than that, but those are the 3 definitely the basic questions that you need to start asking to get yourself started on that decluttering journey.
Yeah. Okay.
Do I use it? Do I need it? Do I love it?
Yeah.
If only it was that simple.
I know.
But yeah, that's going to give you a good head start, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you are realistic. We're big advocates of realism here at the Declutter Hub, aren't we, Ingrid?
I know.
Realism is our thing.
Yeah, we're very honest and direct, and I think that is really helpful in helping people be realistic about their stuff. And let's be honest with each other, something that's built up over 5 years' time, you're not going to declutter in 10 minutes or in half an hour. You need to be realistic and schedule some time for that. Or maybe if the job's too big and too overwhelming, do 5 half an hours, but not think that, oh, you know, something's here, been here for 5 years. I'll just take a Sunday morning 2 hours and it will all be sorted. It just can't be done.
We can be forgiven for thinking that something is going to be straightforward and simple and easy, because that's what's kind of rammed down our throats a little bit in glossy magazines all the time. You know, just do 10 minutes a day and your house will be 10 minutes a day to a clutter-free home and that kind of thing. And that's fine, but that's more when your house is already clutter-free for the most part, and that's about maintenance. But if this is clutter that's built up over several years or months, then it's going to take a little bit of a while to get through that. So it's about, you know, that realism really in terms of how long it's going to take. And that's something that people really struggle with. I mean, we are professionals. We look at cluttered rooms all the time and evaluate how long that's going to take. But even then, it's not an exact science, you know, because the type of clutter that it is, obviously paperwork is going to take a lot longer than clothes, for example. And if you've got lots of cardboard boxes in your loft, appliance boxes, then they can go fairly quickly, which is quite nice, you know, and create a lot of space very quickly. So it's, you know, different types of clutter take different amounts of time to sort through. And also, the other thing is that people take different amounts of time to make decisions. So some people can make decisions very quickly. You know, once they're actually on that decluttering kind of, once they've got the mojo with that, they can be like, yep, that can go, that can go, that can go, or that can stay. And other people are going to take much longer over those decisions for different reasons. And neither one is right or wrong. It's just knowing how long and being realistic about how long it's going to take you to make a decision, because that's going to have a definite impact on the time that it's going to take.
Yeah. Good point. So what would be your next thing on your list, Leslie?
I think you need to know before you even start decluttering where things are going to go at the end of the day. It's a really, really important point, isn't it? To what we don't want is 27 bin bags of stuff sitting in your hallway for the next 2 weeks until you decide where it's going to go. And equally, you know, we don't want to think that everything is going to go to our sister-in-law or whatever, you know, if it should be going to a charity shop or it should be going to the tip. And so you need to be very clear, like, where is all this clutter that I'm going to declutter today? Because you're going to get rid of lots and lots, aren't you? And so where is it all going to go? And
so you need to think about, where's the charity shop, which charity do I want to support? If stuff is broken and it needs to go to the tip or to the recycling center, where's your nearest recycling center? To kind of have that information at your fingertips, so it's not, you don't drive around with in the boot of your car for 4 months. It actually has a destination of where the stuff is going. Okay. So
far we've decided where we're going to tackle. We know what questions we need to ask ourselves. Do we use it? Do we need it? Do we love it? We're going to try and be realistic about the amount of time that it's going to take to declutter. We've got a good feel for where that's going to go at the end of the day. So now we just need to start.
Yes.
Get started. And that's something that some people find really hard. Because they're like, where do I even start? That's a big thing. I just don't know where to start. I am struggling to get started. And it's just getting there. And there's no right or wrong way of getting started. You just need to do it. What I would say is, if you've got a very cluttered room, it's good to, you know, we need to think about health and safety. We need to think about your, you know, making sure that you're not going to trip over things as you're working. So if you've got lots of visible clutter on the floor or on a table and so on, give yourself some space to work. So clear the floor or the table first so that you can lay out some boxes or somewhere, or bin bags or whatever. So really, you know, declutter visible surfaces first, and then, you know, don't get started in the biggest, most cavernous cupboard in your room. But I am a big advocate of just starting at one side of the room and going around clockwise until I get to the end of it. Or anti-clockwise is fine too.
And I think also a point that I really want to make to our listeners as well, if you know you're going to go out in an hour to meet your friend or pick up the kids or go to the dentist or whatever, you don't want to start half an hour before you actually have to leave your house. So be smart about when you start to declutter a cupboard. You're better off starting that when, for example, in the morning you've woken up, you've had your breakfast, the kids have gone, you've dropped them to school, and then say, when you still have a couple of hours ahead of you, I'm going to do something today, and this is where I'm going to get started, and not wait till the last minute and then think, right, I haven't done anything, I want to do it now. And then gonna go after half an hour, oh, but now I have to go. And then it's almost too late.
Yeah, because you need to factor in tidy up time as well, don't you? After you declutter, and you need to make it safe. And, you know, if you've got boxes that still need to be sorted through and so on, you need to sort of pile those up ready for the next session.
Yeah.
So you need to factor that in.
Yeah. And what's also, I think, very helpful is if you start your decluttering, to use different colored bin bags. In the grocery shops, you can buy different colors. You've got blue and see-through and green and just your normal black bin bags. So it's helpful to have a couple of different colors so you can put the stuff for the charity shop in one and put your recycling in one and stuff to go to other people in one and stuff to go into the bin into one. So it helps you. You don't have to think constantly, oh, which bin bag do I have to use?
I think it's important for you to know that you're in control of what's going on as well. So if you can say, right, those are all black bins and they're going to go to the tip, and those are all clear or green. I mean, I use the rubble sacks, like I don't know if they're called rubble sacks or DIY sacks that you can definitely get from the supermarket.
Yeah.
I use those for things like books and paper because those are heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
I use black for the tip because it just strikes me as obvious, and then another colour. You know, you've got the green. You can regularly get those garden sacks, can't you? In
and those
green.
are perfect. I love those.
Yeah. So you know, it just gives you that feeling of control, really. So different colour bin bags are really a good thing, because if everything goes into black, then you lose control of what's going where. You don't know what's going to the charity shop, what's going to the tip, and hopefully you've got someone helping you at the end of the day to take that stuff away.
Yeah, because make sure that you get it out of the door. Like we said before, you don't want to have 27 bin bags in your hallway or drive around with it for 4 months in your car. So have a plan to get it out of your house. Maybe schedule some time either that day or the next day to actually drop all this stuff off.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're not stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important, I think, psychologically, because you need, again, you know, we've talked about getting to the end and feeling motivated onto the next session. You need to see that end result, don't you?
Yeah.
And if you've still got 27 bin bags, I mean, we're being very helpful here with 27 bin bags, aren't we? But
maybe just 2, listeners, 2.
2 is good too. Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared off by us talking about 27 bin bags. But and so it's important for us to get to that end result where all that is gone, because that's when you get that huge feeling of a weight being lifted. You get that cathartic feeling. But there's something very satisfying about putting something into recycling or dropping something off at a charity shop.
Feels good.
It does feel good, absolutely. And I still feel that for my clients every single day.
And give yourself a massive pat on the back when you, even if it's a half a bag, it doesn't really matter. You've done it. And that's great. That's awesome. And we're really proud of you.
Absolutely. And so I think, you know, it's really important to visualise all the time while you're working, because let's face it, decluttering can be quite hard emotionally and physically. Mm-hmm. So what you've got to do is keep firmly in your mind the whole time a vision of how your room's going to look at the end of the session or the end of your, you know, a week or however long it is that you're going to work on this. So keep that vision in your mind, and that's going to be what motivates you forward to finish.
Yeah, good point.
I think one of the things, and it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're decluttering is, right, okay, this weekend I'm going to declutter my, I don't know, kitchen or my living room or whatever. I'm going to go to IKEA and I'm going to buy a load of boxes. Yeah. And so, you know, people are buying boxes to put clutter in rather than getting rid of the clutter in the first place and putting it into the storage that they've already got. Mm-hmm. And so, to be fair, I mean, I've been doing this for 9 years now, and the amount of houses that I've actually bought new storage for is probably 5 to 10% of the houses. People have got adequate storage. They've just got too much stuff to go into that storage. So it's not about tackling the storage. Is it? To be fair, it is in some houses. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I can go in and I can see, actually, you've not got adequate storage for what you need, or you need to go more vertical, or you need something slightly different, or, you know, we need more boxes or whatever that is. But for the most part, people have got adequate storage. So don't make the mistake of going out and buying storage before you declutter. Even if you want to box stuff up temporarily into sort of, you know, temporary boxes, shoe boxes, cardboard boxes, and then buy the storage afterwards. But you need to know what needs to go into your storage before you go out and buy it. And then you can really be very precise about the type of storage that you buy. Yeah. So save your storage solutions till last.
Yeah, very true. It's so nice to see that when you actually know where stuff needs to live, you can actually buy the right storage for it. And that is really, then you are really on your way, instead of randomly just buying boxes that you think might come in handy at some point. It's far better to decide to declutter it first, decide where it's going to live, and so then you can actually measure the shelves or the cupboards and go, right, this type of storage box fits here, and this is what I'm going to put in it, and this is how big it needs to be.
Yeah, and often you don't need, the amount of times I use shoe boxes, shoebox lids, Tupperware containers that are hanging around.
Yeah.
Really, as I say, it really is something that most people don't need to do. They don't need to buy new storage.
Okay. So what's our last top tip then, Leslie?
So I think I'm talking about mistakes, and it all sounds very negative really, but I think again, because we're so used to looking at organisational things on blogs and in magazines and so on, and on Pinterest and Instagram, we're used to seeing these beautifully laid out kitchens that are all labelled within an inch of their life, and sort of really sort of micro-organised. Many people that have that level of organisation are super organised people to start off with. So you have to organise for your lifestyle that you've got. Mm-hmm. So if you know that you're not going to be able to keep, something like, people's knicker drawers and folding things and rolling things, if you know that you're never going to do that, it just needs to be just good enough or better than it was before. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
So don't over-organise things if it's going to be a system that you're never going to be able to maintain.
Yeah. I think it's true. If you start out with, I'm only going to get started with organization and with decluttering if it can be perfect, I think that's not a good New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
I think you should aim for, if it's in the right place and I can find it, and if I know where to find it, and if other people in my house can find it as well, and let's start with returning items once we've used them. That's good enough. You're more than halfway there already, and that's really, I think, something we really want to share with you as well, listeners, that we're not aiming for perfection here. That is not what this is all about. Good enough is good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Better than before, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about being able to find what you need when you need it. That's the most important thing, and that's where the organisation comes in.
Yeah.
And once you've decluttered a decent amount of stuff, it makes the organisation much simpler, and you can find, because it's less stuff to go through.
Yeah.
So that's a really whistle-stop tour of a day's decluttering, isn't it? And the things that you need to think about. Obviously, we're going to go deeper in other podcasts into certain areas. We'll talk more about storage and different things and micro-organisation and et cetera, et cetera. But as it's New Year, and as we thought everybody's going to be fired up to declutter their homes, we wanted to give you some handy tips so that you can get started. One of the things that I wanted to mention as well is that we've got a decluttering guide on our declutterhub.com website that you can download that's got loads of other great tips on there, similar tips that you can, if you're a visual person, you can go and read that. And of
course, we've got the Facebook group, the Declutter Hub community. We'd love to see you there as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important. A lot of people are going to be starting on the decluttering journey in the new year, aren't they? Come and join us in the Declutter Hub community and get motivated. Accountability and motivation and support from other people is such a big deal, because as we've said, it can be really quite hard emotionally, physically, and you need a little bit of somebody to give you a little bit of a leg up.
Yeah, we're here to support you and cheer you on and give you a big pat on the back when you have success and motivate you when you feel a bit lost and you don't know how to move on. So we're here for you.
And as well as motivation and support, the whole idea of Ingrid and I is that we are there with expertise. We've been doing this a long time, so there's a lot of things that we know about decluttering and what works and what doesn't in different homes, and so we're there. So if you've got specific questions, come along and ask us and we'll try our best to answer them.
So listeners, that is it for this episode, and we hope you've all enjoyed listening and are inspired to take actions. And it's been great that you were here today. So happy New Year, happy 2019. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you'd like to get more tips and advice, please follow us on social media. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.